Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar on leading project managers. Our presenter today is Claude Maley, and I will hand you over to him in just a moment. Just before we start, I just want to run you through some housekeeping rules. The slides that you see and the recording of the entire webinar will be available on our SlideShare page and our YouTube channel. And links to these will be emailed to you in the follow-up emails that we send after the webinar. When the webinar finishes, you will see a pop-up survey, and I just ask that you give time to this, please, as we really value your feedback and it helps us to improve things. While you're listening to Claude speaking, you can type in your questions throughout our session. You'll see a little question box at the bottom right of the control panel. This is where you can communicate with. Some of you have already said hello through the chat box, which is great, but when you want to ask questions, please can you put this in the question box, and Claude will allocate time at the end of the webinar to take your questions. So, without any more time being lost, I'll hand you over to Claude now. Thank you very much for being here.
And thank you, Sherry, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. I have the great pleasure of, again, through Informa, being able to give you a presentation, which is going to be something between 35 and 45 minutes, and it's leading project managers. And all the topics that we have on the webinars, I remind you, are also being handled by Informa and public courses here in Dubai. And I encourage you to look at the calendar of events over the next few months, and hopefully I'll be able to see some of you in person. What I'd like to be able to handle today is a very, very much of a soft skill. So thank you very much for being present here. And I do not know whether you've answered the first poll, which, yeah. And sorry? Yeah, you have done it. There was an industry poll, good. So I'm just speaking here to Sherry to see so we can make sure that we're covering a variety of industries, and these would be very similar, most probably, to the industries I've had the opportunities of being exposed to. And the key would be, of course, that we are dealing with managing other people, but at a level where they are managing other people as well. So the leading project managers these are targeted at individuals like yourselves. And what we're looking at are some soft and hard skills, and how we approach this so there is success in the management of projects and the management of project managers. Okay, so that will be the major theme that we will be following, and also to understand what is the role of a leader of project managers, so that we either do not find ourselves in micro management, which certainly would annoy our project managers, or being satellite managers where we're so far away, we are completely unaware of the challenges and issues they may have to face up to. So let's understand that, and we'll be using the project lifecycle terminology, which is from PMI. I understand that obviously that many organizations and industries have their own vocabulary for that, but basically you've got a plan to do, and then you do what you plan, so that's a life cycle. We're going to explore the role of the project manager, of the leader of project managers, so that relationship between the leader of project managers and project managers is well understood and is harmonious and compatible. We'll be dealing with many different project managers, so we've called that the multi-project environment. So where there are many, many projects that are involved, and that means therefore each project has at least one project manager. We'll be talking about leading and management. Do excuse me, I had a small sore throat. I was in Northern Europe last week and I got a cold, so I do apologize for that. Leading and managing project managers, and also the relationship that as a leader of project management, one has to maintain across all the different lines, up and down, and of course laterally. Let's see what we mean by leader of project managers. There are many variations, and I'd like to be able to go through the three major ones that you may be categorized under. So the first of all, if you are a program manager, which would mean that you have a program which is broken down in different subsets, and these would be projects. So you have projects that are going to be managed by a project manager, and you have that responsibility for the program, and therefore you're leading project managers. Either they are directly reporting to you for the duration of the program, which would be like a line manager, or they've been assigned internally and externally, and therefore you have that responsibility. But all projects within the program have the common goal. So that's very important to remember. The next kind of, shall we say, LPM, let's call it LPM from now on, is a line manager. So it could be a line manager where you could be, let's say, a program or a project director, or you have a series of project managers that line report to you. So you have the responsibility eventually of doing the end of year, once a year at least, performance evaluations. And you could also be a line functional manager, departmental manager, and you will have those project managers reporting to you too, okay? So I just seen here of the types of industry you have, and I see that we have a nice mixture. We have manufacturing, which is great. We have government, that's also very good. Pharmaceutical, that's nice. And oil and gas and banking and finance. So we have a very nice distribution here, and all of you will be managing internal or external projects, and that would be where you will certainly have management of internal and external resources. So what we have now is a third type of LPM, which is when you're running a project portfolio and or a project management office, then what basically you're having is the different projects and programs are within a circle of an environment. So here one is responsible for reporting on the performances of the different elements within the portfolio of the PMO, and therefore the project managers. So here again, there is an LPM role with a completely different approach to either the line manager or the program manager. However, the relationship is still very, very important, okay? So there is a poll now that I'd like to launch, okay? So you see it coming up on your screen. So out of those three major types of LPM for our 46 people who are online, thank you very much for being present. So if you're a program manager today within the definition I've just given you, or a line manager or portfolio manager, be nice. And we are getting a lot of nice answers. It seems that the none of the above is winning. I like it, but there's always a chance for you to be promoted to a position. Now, none of the above is, so maybe either my polling question is incorrect, or you are preparing yourself to be a leader of project managers, which is good. Okay, the rest is equally distributed, and well, thank you for that poll, and let's move on. So let's move on, and that's it. Okay, now there's some key approaches I'd like to share with you. Whether you're managing project managers or any other kind of group, one of the key things you have to think about is how do you approach it? What are the premises you have, and how do you think about managing people? And it's a question of education, question obviously of culture, but let me give you a small hint to guide you. Sooner or later, whatever major goals or major objectives have been set, and you have accepted to take these on, and you are leading a group of individuals, do not forget that whatever is going to be done and accomplished for the organization goals, you'll have to do it through people. So basically through others. So that's key. Right? You could be a supervisor of a team of 2 or 3, or you could be a CEO of 100,000 people. Whatever goals and objectives to be met have to be done through the efforts of others. And that's key. That's key. That means that you are mostly looking at how to enhance and how to coordinate and how to facilitate the work of others to meet the goals that you have been set, either by yourself or by your superiors or the external community. However, also some economic realities. You have budgets, you have finances, you have a lot of business goals to meet. You've got a lot of work to be done. And that work is the one that is going to require people to perform. And of course, you're going to have some consequences for that. And the more you are coherent in your approach, whoever you are going to be managing, excuse me, then when we say the environment is better managed, because it is harmoniously distributed between those individuals who are participating in a group, the more the skill sets and competence levels are there, your decision making can be delegated at a lower level, and therefore people are much more autonomous and much more empowered. Control procedures are certainly lighter because you do not need to do any micromanagement, and your time is better used in order to anticipate and forecast and ensure that the environment is susceptible for better results for both internal and external excuse me, participants. People are the major key of our concerns. So the first thing you should be thinking of as you go to the workplace is people, because it's only people that all of this can be done. Right? So then you can think about obviously the goals that have to be met and the issues that are daily being encountered. Now, leadership, and there are hundreds of books that are there. Well, my take on leadership is very simple. You can only be a leader if you have at least one follower. And it's the followers that make you a leader. However, there are some characteristics that you can articulate, that's the wrong word, that one, to influence and motivate and enable others. So that's the key. What are you doing by setting the direction of where the team or the group needs to go, how to align the different competences and skills to the work that needs to be performed, and how to review goals when some of these alignments are not as straight as they should be. What are you doing to inspire people and creating an environment where people find motivation? That is the role of any individual who is responsible for a group. Now, the more you are doing it effectively, the more people will follow, and the followers make you a leader. Now, that has not got to be confused with the manager, who is a person who is going to be responsible for a group, direct and control the work and staff, what to do, when to do, and how to do it. And those 5 little major bullet points there come from the father, shall we say, of all business management approaches, Fayol. And as you can see, it was not written yesterday. Okay, so that is a very important factor. So when you're a manager, good, but you want to be followed, so you have to articulate your leadership. And that's where the soft skill comes in. And people will follow a manager. If you're directive, if you're autocratic, people just nod their heads, oh, the boss said so. Only if they report directly to you. But if they have no direct report to you, well, they might actually tell you what they think, by the way, and they will not follow you. So I think we should consider that. And the more you focus that you have a managerial job, which is to plan, to organize, control within work, it's a controlling work, but you don't have control yourself. However, you're dealing with, in our particular webinar, project managers who are educated, have good experience, and are willing to participate and want to be given challenges and to be able to make decisions and therefore to be empowered. So there are many differences of the leader and the manager. These are some of the things that we actually explore much more in our public courses, and some of them do actually overlap and others don't. And the biggest thing that you want to see from the leader is what are you doing in order for people to be engaged. So some of the sides you should think of. You're a senior manager. In fact, if you're managing managers, you are in fact somewhere in the hierarchy of the lowest level, shall we say. Which means that what are you doing to be proactive? What are you doing to be able to anticipate? What are you doing, not anticipation for the work that you're managing, but also anticipating what individuals with whom you work with, for whom you have the responsibility, will they be 3 months, 6 months, a year? People learn things on projects, of course, in every professional activity. So it'd be nice to be able to anticipate that. Now, you also have to understand the business strategy. You are a person who's going to convert some business case, be it something proactive or reactive from management, to a result that can reap benefits for the organization. That is setting a direction and making your vision, shall we say, a little more tangible, because some goals to be met. Whatever area of work you are in, any project, as you will know, is in fact an agent of change. So change is important, and we're moving from one situation to another. I'm not going to bore you with the whole model of as is to be. However, that change is going to take people from one place to the other over time. And that needs courage, but also needs a direction. And the work that's going to be performed at the lower level, you as an LPM, is obviously going to be coordinated and managed by project managers. So how to build the relationship, which is as excellent as you can make it, so that the team, so we say with inverted commas, if they don't report directly to you, of yourself and the project managers are in harmony. And the collaboration between individuals. Try to avoid the directive modes, try to avoid the autocratic decision-making, even with external providers. They could be consultants, these could be as well contractors. People want to participate, and when they participate, they will very often voice what would need to be formed when there are some challenges. So, and you incorporate that, because I don't think anybody can be 100% right 100% of the time. So, and when you are working as a group, it's very, very important that everybody not only participates physically to perform, but the intellectual participation is the one that drives you, by the way. So be open, participation. Do not micromanage. The project managers manage the project, by the way. Okay, and it's very difficult to find people with all of the expertise and all of the knowledge on everything to do with any working project. So just step back. There's some people who know more about it than you do. It's great. Okay, let them get on with it. Okay, and be a relationship manager. I always say to people, from a 5-day week that most of us work, if you count off the number of hours that you spend in the workplace, anything between 8, 9 to 10, and you take off the number of hours you sleep a day and you commute and you need to eat and drink and so on, close to 75% of the remaining time after you get to actually meeting your obligations of physiology are spent in the workplace, which is a building that is not yours and with people you don't choose to be with. That's your social group. So concentrate on the soft skills. People don't work for you. You work for them. Okay, this is Kenneth Blanchard, by the way. That's 1981. Now, as the projects are going through execution, there's going to be obviously a lot of work to perform, and I'm sure that most of you have a project lifecycle that you are using within your organization. And biggest point of importance, the project manager manages the project. Obviously, we'll see later on, skill sets, competences, and knowledge are important for them to be able to manage autonomously. And when those skill sets are not adequate for a certain project, for whatever reason it is, then you can step in, assist through coaching the project manager to perform the work. But project manager manages the project, okay? And you are focusing on the direction. Doesn't mean you are automatic, by the way. Setting direction just sort of points away, by the way. If you get lost somewhere by car and you ask somebody, how do I get to such a place? They point somewhere and they give you the direction, right? You can coach, very important. I will see what that means later on. You've got to support guys, It's not managing projects, is managing unknowns and assumptions to reach a goal, which has been maybe not clarified at the beginning. You've got to delegate. The less you delegate, the more you have on your desk, which may obviously make you feel happy because you feel important, but delegation is important to actually allow people to make their own decisions based upon the level of professional maturity, basically that's the competence and skill and experience. The more people are experienced, the more you can delegate, and they don't need to come back and see you every 5 minutes because they have the authority of decision making. So some of the slides I'm just going to run through now. You'll be getting all these slides after this webinar, so you can actually read this. These are a selection of things that the LPM should focus on. I'm sure by now you understand my use of the 3-letter acronym. So in the initiation stage, making sure that project managers understand the environment, the big picture, have the major facility of starting a project. And at your level, you're going to be consolidating. So talking about the consolidation you get from the high level. So charters and KPIs, but provide these things. And if project manager is still in their, shall we say, early professional stages, well, you coach them and you help them. You might even do the job yourself. During planning, which is a key step of front-end engineering and design for some of you, front-end loading for some others of you, just normal bidding or whatever you want to call it, you are assisting the project manager to build a commitment. I remind you, any plan eventually is a commitment to what will be achieved if and when the approval is given. So reviewing things with the project manager, making sure that they have left as many stones turned over to see what's underneath. At your level, you want to update your master plans, which is going to be the accumulation and the collation of all the different individual plans. So you have a master plan view of all the projects that are within your area of responsibility. During implementation, well, we know that no project plan is going to be perfect, and plans are not what's going to happen. Plans is what you want to happen. So a lot of the assumptions and resources and things of that nature that have been anticipated are going to be reviewed. So there's a constant evolution, both in contents of what you're performing and the context. So make sure that project managers understand that, because they know it as well as you do. It will be very difficult to maintain your progress exactly as a plan says. So one of the things that I always suggest to people, right, is to be able to understand that all the plans are wrong. Wrong being they're approximately right, by the way. And project managers do know that there's going to be some many instances on a daily or weekly basis where they have to adjust, and adjusting according to the evolution of what is going on during the project realization, execution, implementation. So be open at weekly meetings, if you have weekly meetings, that the plan is evolving, and allow people to evolve the plan, but certainly they're always going to have some very justifiable reason. Okay, the more you instill fear in project managers, the more you're going to have very, shall we say, quiet and silence in meetings, because people are not going to tell you that they are maybe slipping on target or overrunning on budget or delivering under scope, because that is a failure, and people don't want failures. So understand, it's like a small sailboat. You not go on a straight line, you zigzag, and if the wind is strong and takes you right away from your original plan, well, you've got to steer back, but it's going to take you a longer time. On the closeout, obviously, we're going to the very end of the project. Many things as well, where the project manager wants to be able to complete. Certainly may want to go on to other projects and hand over to the operational users and whoever's going to be holding the product or service following the delivery. There's a lot of work to be done. Certainly, recognition and rewarding PMs is a very important part. Whether you do it yourself directly if they are line reporting to you, or if they're not line reporting to you, please do provide their line managers with the performance of their work, so that the line manager has objective data to be able to do the performance. People want to be recognized for their work. Now, within the project, or program, sorry, or the LPM area, I think from the very thank yous, the high-level bonuses, which if you have that particular possibility, people appreciate it. And they appreciate more, PMs appreciate more the intangibles, recognition. And we explore this much more detail in our courses. So we're working in a multi-project environment, and one of the points that I'd like to be able to raise with you here, and where multi-project definition being we have a whole group of project programs that meet goals coming from different parts of the organization and utilizing resources and funding internally and externally. And what I'd like you to be able to do in this poll that is going to go out now, all right, here we go. Just to know, in a multi-project environment, how many projects today are you responsible for? Well, I've done a very small scale, 1 to 5, 6 to 15. And the I'm inundated is more than 16 plus, so figure that one out. So we're getting 1 to 5 seems to be leading the way. 16 plus, we have 4%. 4% of how many people are involved? 48. So that's about 7 people. 68% have voted. And I'm inundated. wow, we got 6% now. 6% of 48, that's about 11 people, right? Yeah, multiplied by 2, 48 out of, 48 people online. So, okay, so the majority are in the less than 15, which is a lot, right? That's the situation now. Thank you very much for that. And it does show that most of you are within, thank you very much for that, Paul, Sherry. Most of you are in the 1.5. Now, what happens is that the more projects and programs you have, if you have got a project portfolio and or PMO, obviously I would expect you to be in the 15 plus, okay, or 6 to 15. If you are managing project managers and you've got more than 16 projects under your hat, well, you better delegate and structure it, okay, because it'd be difficult to maintain 16 things in your head at the same time. So we'll review what does that mean as far as multi-project environments and how you best to be able to address these things. Okay, that's nice. Let's move on here. And if you have any questions, go ahead, guys. So what are our major issues? Well, portfolio management. I just mentioned it. If you have a lot of projects and you have responsible for them, so how do you set priorities? What are your criteria for assigning resources if you have direct access to resources? Obviously, if you're dealing with contractors and suppliers, they'll always say they have resources, but I'm sure that you can ask them to demonstrate that to you. You want to be able to consolidate the project data, so you have it at the very beginning of initiation, you get at the planning. You want to look at the planning stages by consolidating master schedule, and you would like to be able to issue resolution. So you are acting like a program manager as an LPM, because you are going to be consolidating data that is provided by project managers. That is something that you've got to be able to use the tools on, okay? So you also have to look at what's happening here. Should be moving? No? Thank you very much. Okay, here we go. The communication techniques that you're going to use. I was in fact speaking to somebody this morning and they say, we communicate every day. And I said, good, I'm glad about it. No, they said, no, about the projects. So my question to that person was, that's fine, because my take on communicating in projects and with project managers is look at the average duration of the work that's been performed and then make a decision on the frequency. As an example, if you are in the first stages of, let's say, some engineering or design, many of the activities are longer, 2 or 3 weeks maybe. There's no point having a weekly meeting. We're going to see. However, if you're in the back end of a project and things are being put together, integration, there's some installation, some testing, things are happening at the couple of hour level. So you might need to have half-day meetings. So trying to get out of the institutionalized corporate reporting mechanisms. And you would need also resource management. Now, resource management and capacity management are really tough to feel. And I must admit, there are many approaches which people have to build into. But the problem will be a project has a request for resources, for work to be performed, and now we have to look at resources and where they come from and whether or not people have sufficient information about what resources are being used today and what availabilities they have, but at least across a period of a rolling 12 months. So we have to think about that. So the LPM, major things that you're doing in multi-projects is to aggregate, and you can look at all the projects within a master plan, and therefore you have a resource scheduling system, which is a high level, and from that one can look at how do I address the progress, the resource usage, of course the funding usage. Now, for any of the LPM functions you may have, usually program and portfolio management and PMO, you'll be doing this. If you are in a program manager, you're going to be doing it with the project manager. So there's constantly a need to review what's happening here. And the capacity management mechanism has to encompass all types of resources so that we do not fall into just looking at human resources. We have human resources. We have, of course, materials. This will be what you're procuring. You have equipment that you'll be also either procuring or utilizing. You have services. All of these have to be looked at. And needs sign off. If I'm in September 2015 and my project starts the 1st of October, it lasts for 12 months, what am I doing for getting some resources to be committed for the latter part of my project, which will be next summer, for example. So it's very key for that. So who is owning the resources? Project manager has to describe what kind of skill levels are needed for human resource, has to understand the availability of human resources, the full-time equivalent for human resources, and I could also have added on this slide, obviously, if you're dealing with materials or equipment, it's not with skill level, it will be quality, type, capacity, still the availability. I was also speaking to somebody in oil and gas a few weeks ago, and we're just talking about some onshore facilities, and we talked about cranes. I said, you got your crane yet? He said, yeah, but I don't have the right crane because I wanted a crane which did this, that, and that, but I got another one, so now I need 2 cranes. That's, quite interesting. And how do you retain resources once they're on board a project? So that's more of a difficulty. And you can actually see it across project plan when consolidate. So those are things to be reviewed. How much communication you're going to have? Well, I think the delegation mechanism allows you to do that. The more your project managers are of a certain skill set and competence, your authority level, the authority levels you can give to them are higher. They can make decisions without referring to you, and they're accountable, of course, to you. And the feedback on project performance can be done on a frequency which is equivalent to the nature of the project and also the competence skill of the project manager. And you find that in general, you can have informal or formal reports, or both. You have to agree with that, and making sure that that the whole system will encourage people to actually report honestly. I mean, that's not rude to say honestly, because people at times do not want to give the real information if there is a climate of fear. So they're scared of saying, "Ooh, I just out of schedule for a week because of whatever reason." Right? And the accuracy. Sometimes you get people who are reporting so much and so frequently, there's no change. And all of a sudden, there's a huge change, especially when people also report infrequently, once a month, for example, or once a quarter. So something has to be done that people are engaged and project managers are engaged. They are evaluated on project in reporting, but unfortunately, a lot of people associate the project progress to the performance of the project manager. Right, so that's something we have to look at. The issues about leading now, as we just talked about leadership and managing project managers, how much are you going to dedicate to increasing the project manager's skill level and experience? The more you have the line responsibility for the project managers, the more this is going to be high up your agenda. And I would also suggest you do it for the other roles you have in LPM. The higher the skill levels and experience of project managers, the better will the organization be for this and future projects. We have to also create an environment where project managers are motivated. They are professionals, they want to be creative, they want to participate, they want to be able to be recognized, they want to have ambition, they want to grow in skills and competence, they want to, many things, part of the classical motivational theory approach. So make sure that happens. So make sure they got the organization strategy, which explains to them what needs to be done. You're going to be coaching and mentoring, as we mentioned before. What kind of profiles with the project, okay? And collaborate with PMs to a level which is equivalent to their skills. But let them do their jobs. Let's say their job. They'll be happy about it. And you review and you discuss with project managers. And in these reviews, you could be able to pick up exactly what is happening. So the rewards and recognition mechanism is objective. The worst is to have is a very subjective evaluation mechanism. Share decision making with peers as they're learning. People want to participate. You have a group. The information, so that could be done on an informal basis or formal basis. You can do many ways of now informing in the 21st century. Don't leave people in the deep end of the swimming pool when it's about not how to swim, because they will be swimming, but unfortunately vertically downwards. You don't want that to happen. As you said, the skills have to be developed. Coaching is important, and training people to a higher level. And when people do a good job, don't wait till the end of the project. Small thank yous, small nods of the head, small appreciations do not pay the rent, of course. However, people go home and say, hey, somebody has seen that I'm doing a job, and it's good. So, and yourself, your posture, your availability, your communication possibilities with people, and recognizing difference between individuals, culture, gender, and in general, just look at the smiles on their faces. When we have 4 smiling faces here in a slide, and the morale, the more people smile, unless of course it is a snigger, the more they are at ease, a job, and they're happy. So that's very good. That's very good. And how come we got this one again? Yes, that's another poll. Thank you, Sherry. Yeah. How are we doing here? Hold on a second. What do? Right, there's a poll. Thank you. That's the last poll, is it? Yeah, good. That's a good one. So what do we got here? Oh, okay. Right. So you got 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 plus. I've got an army. I like that. And these are the same people who are inundated with projects. If it just post me a little thing in the chat box, by the way. Those who are in the high percentage of the army and inundated. Yeah, we've only got 43% voted for the time. And we got another 5 to 10 minutes left, guys. So how are we going over here? So 48% voted. Okay, so the 1 to 5 is winning. But the army one is interesting. It's 11 plus plus. Yeah, I like it. I like 50% vote. Let's just take the count now. Let's close it now. I think we have a nice representation. And what is a presentation? Yeah, wow. You see that? That's interesting. Terrific. I've got an army. God. Wow. There is an article I'd like to ask you to read. It's the one by Dr. Miller. It was written back in the early 50s. Called 7, the magical number plus or minus 2. And he's the one who put the idea in a lot of people's heads that you cannot actually manage more than 7 plus or minus 2 things at the same time. He did a lot of experiments, and that has been taken over in management circles, where you cannot really dedicate your time, especially when your span of control with people with more than, between 5 to 9 people. So if you have more project managers, okay, the army, as we have here for 13%, just imagine you have to do a performance evaluation, right? Unless, of course, you're part of the project portfolio management or the PMO, which obviously you don't do performance evaluation. But if you do performance evaluation for an army, I think the last person in the queue, let me get there, will be his grandchildren that might be going through the performance evaluation. So professional growth is important, okay? Make sure there is a development plan. It could be associated to the actual project. And you speak to the line manager that and experience of different projects in size and importance. People learn things. Just remember, when we all started our first job, we were what? We were green, really green, and we were appreciated. We were appreciating when our managers gave us opportunities to broaden our horizons, and that's where we are today. And there are many things that PMs want in professional needs, and all these things will lower, obviously, the turnaround, and you return project managers who are finding motivation in their work, seeking that motivation, and wanting to stay in an organization allows them to be innovative, to be in competitive salary brackets, to have autonomy, and to participate, and also have a career. That's how you retain people. Right? It's not demagogy where you just play their sentiments and feelings. It's you participate in that. Now, if you're a line manager, that's your responsibility. If you're an LPM, not a line manager, well, make sure people have access to these things and speak to their line manager so that they can pursue with them. And each of us does work, right? So we like to have some form of appreciation. So what are the skills up front of individuals? So when they start a project, I often hear people say, this person is incompetent. No, I think that's an insult myself. I think people may not have the competence required for performing a piece of work. So one has to be able to understand, for this piece of work, this project, what are the competencies required, okay? And what are the different competencies that the project manager has? And as we go through signing work, we say, well, what are we going to actually evaluate this person on? Okay, it's hard and soft skills. If it's not a person who reports to you directly, please make sure the line manager is in line with these things. So that performance, then the ongoing coaching and evaluation, don't wait until the end. Okay? You see people frequently, and the coaching is to guide people, especially if they are learning a new topic or exploring it in a different way. And you want to be able to recognize good performance. And be careful, sometimes unsatisfactory performance exists. Now, don't ignore it, because you cannot sort of face it to a person, because there may be some valid reasons. You know, a person may be late because some equipment is stuck in customs. He may say it's a project manager's fault. Yeah, but get facts first. And therefore, what can you do in order to actually change that performance? People hate to make mistakes. People hate to have failure. Don't bang your hammer on top of them when it is not their inverted commas fault. Okay, there are always reasons. There are some very rare occasions where the individual in a deep psychological state may not be performing, but that's not your job, guys. Your job is to lead project managers, leave the psychology stuff to the psychologists. And you need to have positive application of rewards and reprimands if people constantly miss and they do not attend meetings or they hang around. They find that that actually has an impact to the whole program and project. You should take them aside and say, look, this is something which is a behavior is not acceptable. Dig into the reasons for that. But if you don't reprimand in private, the rest of the team sees that you're avoiding facing that, and they're asking themselves, why do I need to bust my backside when those who are not performing get exactly the same treatment? Interesting. That's called negative rewards, by the way. So think about that. Now, coaching is important. Now, there are a couple of things here I would like you to read. Coaching is based at making sure that the skill set an individual can actually increase the skill set, perform better. So it concentrates on the job, right? You can do it yourself, or you can actually send people to training, depending on the topics that they would need to be trained on. And it's just a selection of topics here, and you can break those selection down if you wish. Whereas mentoring, dealing with the actual attitude of an individual, the personal development. And do not do mentoring of people who are under your responsibility. Mentoring must be done by another individual, not in the organizational structure. Usually you try to get guys with little white hair on the sides, okay, the wise and old individuals. And that usually prepares people for jobs and roles of higher responsibility, to be an LPM, for example. And discusses mostly on philosophical aspects. Okay, so you're facing a lot of stuff of that nature. What else we got? Now, the actual supervision you need to have on people is very important. Do you want to micromanage or do you want to satellite manage? Now, satellite manage means you are something anywhere between 300 kilometers and 24,000 kilometers above the individual. So you agree on how you're going to review that, what frequency, right? So that people are comfortable with it. If you're coaching someone on certain key topics, managing projects, that means you're much closer to them because you're assisting them to perform work. That frequency is equivalent to the frequency of how the work has been performed. That's very key. Now, the performance, there are some variances. So you say, what are the variances? What can we do in order to be able to build on what we've done correctly? And how can we rectify? Because maybe we're a little too ambitious in our performance objectives. Okay, and we plan, correct these things, and then we move ahead. Now, obviously, for a line manager, LPM, this is your ongoing responsibility. For LPMs who are managing project managers outside of that line, then you are looking at the results, which are the projects within the environment, either of a program or a portfolio. And everyone needs to review that, and let's look at the end results. And people learn, guys, and the more people are appreciative of what they learn, the more they are going to be reactive to that and act quickly on it. And you plan, a coaching and mentoring plan with individuals who might need it. So, and once you got that going, then you see it according to frequency, how you can adapt it. Sometimes you can accelerate, and sometimes you can decelerate because people have learned quicker than you expect. So what are the principal focus that you need to have, okay, in the support? Well, a lot of stuff is how do you interact, okay, with internal and external. Very, very important. That's your focus. You've got to have a large selection of individuals with whom you are communicating. And you want to, for the project managers, you want to be able to give them access to many things, maybe international projects, if that's the case, or provide cross-cultural training. People learn. And the great thing is to anticipate that over the 6 months, 12 months, year or 2 years, your project management pool may be performing on projects which are very dissimilar in nature to the ones you have today. Right? And you want to be able to support the guys, okay? And you want them to be able to be more and more autonomous. And that autonomy is how do they actually review themselves project charters, how do they get plans done, so that the more they are autonomous, the less they require your presence, okay? Which doesn't mean that you disappear, but it just means that you coordinate and facilitate, okay? There's an expression which you may all know in English, is when the cat is away, the mice will play. Now, I'm a great believer that the cat does not need to be there, and I want the mice to play all the time. Now, in our little lingo here, project managers can play, and they don't need you, right? Obviously need you, but I'm saying that you don't have to be on their back, because when the cat's there, obviously mice are scared. And if you want to have it come into fear, well, good luck to you. I don't think it works myself, but you can try. And you want to be able to look at the project team performance and evaluate that. You want to establish your relationships. So you now have a lot of stakeholders. So you need to do stakeholder mapping with the project managers, okay? And you have to understand that all stakeholders are different. They have motivation, which are professional, personal, and have political goals, okay? So share that with the project managers, because some project managers, especially the newer ones, are unfortunately, and I'd say unfortunately, a little too naive to believe that we're all great and happy and all working in the same direction, which should be the case. I agree with you. As far as you're concerned, you're dealing with a lot of individuals, obviously in management. You're dealing with a lot of line managers, where you're going to help the project managers secure resources to ensure that they are participating. You'll be dealing with a lot of external providers, be it internal to the organization or external, so that you can support the whole of the program and project work, and where project manager can access certain stakeholders. And obviously, you're working with the core PMs and project teams in a way of relationship. I remind you, project managers manage projects. You are coordinating the work. So, and the communication that you have, it has to be as well adapted to the environment where you are. So you're highlighting issues to top management. You are negotiating with resources and budget at the level of the program or whatever, if you are in the project portfolio with peers. And you want to be able to provide direction to project managers and ensure that this three-pronged, shall we say, communication is coherent. And that's what you're looking at, okay? You're doing a lot of communication reporting, by the way, but not reporting in a sort of bureaucratic manner. You are facilitating work to be performed by others. And that's communication planning, okay? You've got a lot of communication planning, these are the, for stakeholders, a lot of what we call the drivers of the project. I mean, they're the ones who are going to be behind the reason for the project, executives, customers, sponsors, senior managers. They are key stakeholders, sometimes they're called. Do they need, well, company vision, you need to have that, priorities. They need overviews of progress, of portfolios. So a lot of interaction here between you and them, and maybe certain key senior project managers on your environment. You got the actual performance of work. I call these the doers. So these are the whole of project team, managers, contractors, suppliers, internal and external resource providers. And what you're doing here is you're looking at project plans, you're looking at deliverables, you're looking at risks, coaching for PMs, and these boxes are very small, so I'm not sure you appreciate there are more things to be done. And no project is worth its salt if when it comes to be delivered, there's no business benefit. So you're dealing with all those organizational entities that will operate and use the end results. So line managers, staff users, consumers, support functions. And what you look at here is how they are going to be ready. Organizational readiness is important, getting over whatever resistance to change, and in the acceptance time, so that the effort of projects and programs in an organization have an impact, because you don't do projects and programs just for yourself. You do it for reaching business goals and reaching and achieving business benefits. So And your project managers are participating quite heavily. So there are many things that you need to be able to constantly work on. All right? There's a couple of major points, skills as we talked about, increased responsibilities, reward mechanisms. And some people actually believe that by giving more work to project managers, it's a reward. But I think one thing, it's called overloading. There's no reward. Right? Now, obviously that photograph is a montage. I hope the young lady is not actually inundated with all these documents. So, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll come to practically our 60 minutes of our webinar. Balancing act, maybe, of an LPM. Key things for an LPM. Don't forget, we have corporate organization goals to meet. That's the key, right? You better know what these are and be clear about it, all right? You're working through project managers. You want every project manager to be successful in their work. So facilitate that. If they don't have the skill set, increase it by some way. If they do have it, delegate more and make them more autonomous. But make sure that this happens, okay? You want to get ownership and commitment from individuals that can only be done through participation. I think all of us can agree. The less we participate, the more we divorce ourselves from the work. It's not mine, it's yours. The more we are participating and we are listened to, the more our ownership increases and commitment increases. So you're not doing a job, guys. PMs are doing it. And as they're doing it, you want to have higher skilled PMs for this project and the next ones. And no one can be autonomous 100% of the time because sometimes authority levels that they have cannot make decisions without referring to you, or they need assistance. You're there for them. You work for the PMs, okay? And their work has to be recognized. How would you feel if you do what you believe to be work which goes beyond what is normally required because you get all these obstacles and then nobody says, hi, well done, I saw you work this weekend, oh, by the way, how did it go? And the only thing they have done on their face, that's what we're paying for. Like to be money about it. And your job is still to consolidate all of the work done from PMs at the program level or the portfolio level and making sure that everything aligns to business benefits because that's why project programs exist. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope that it has been exciting 60 minutes, I think. It sounds like one of these TV programs. And we're open for questions, and let's see how many questions we have. Sherry, what questions do we have from 410? What is a PGM? Well, we'll take that one. That's an easy. Thanks, Saad Al-Jabri. And thank you for the honey and ginger I took earlier on. A PGM is a program manager. PGM for program manager, PJM for project manager. Firas Eshtay has left. It's a nice question. Do you believe that a leader by nature can become a leader by learning? Well, come to my course. I believe that we're all leaders because we all have followers. It's followers that make you a leader. And if you think you're born a leader, then go to the local and closest maternity ward and you'll find that babies are all the same, right? They don't rank them leaders here, politicians there, footballers somewhere else. So, is there an issue in audio? Well, that's Mohammed Zod. Okay, whose duty to resolve the conflict in projects? Great question, Ravi Podvar. Well, it depends what the conflict is. The first thing that I would make sure that the project managers are equipped to actually address the conflicts, and if it's within their responsibility areas and their authority levels and their competence, they can handle it. Now, if it's beyond that, obviously they will escalate it, and I will help them to resolve it. I will not resolve it myself. I will help them to resolve it, because if I resolve it myself, then the conflict they have not resolved, and other people see it and will say, well, this project manager doesn't know how to resolve it. So I will assist, okay? Can we summarize that LPM is the director in real world? Yeah, we can. And more issues due to non-standardization project. Oh, yeah. So Ravi, I have a lot of great questions. Your job at LPM may well be to work with key stakeholders that you can disseminate standard management of projects, processes, and methodologies, and governance. And you can do this by short 15, 20-minute seminars with the key stakeholders so that they know what's going on. Some stakeholders are stakeholders, but they don't know what projects are. So that would be good. To whom clients congratulate and award success of a project. That's a nice one. Ravi, how many questions are you going to have today, man? To whom clients congratulate and award the success of a project? Well, they should be, first of all, congratulating the provider, which would be your organization. If you have got a post-project evaluation, satisfaction survey. They may well be mentioning names of certain individuals, project managers, or even certain participants. Be good, be good. So leave it open. Everybody who's participated has participated. We're all in the same boat. Some people have big roles, some of them have small roles. Right. I have 8 project managers. How can I calculate their utilization and load? Good question, Fadi. Okay, any more questions? We have 5 more questions. Well, that's a question that's always asked. For each project, you need to be able to determine what will be the functions of that project manager and what will be their schedule and out of schedule work. What I mean by that, schedule work will be things that they are performing against the schedule. It could be assisting at risk management reviews, issue management, assisting at approvals with clients at certain milestones. These are scheduled reviews. Out of schedule will be your daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly management reports, management meetings. They come at a precise calendar date. And then you can say, okay, well, that particular project manager will have, let's say, this amount of time necessary per week on the project. And you can figure out if you have for all your project managers, what would be their capacity, utilization requirements, and therefore availability. It's like a capacity planning system you would need. Is the role of the LPM not the same towards a group PMs as a role of PM? No. Very good. Excellent. Jesper Hansen. We don't hear about lead project managers only because we are targeting project managers. Obviously, a project manager who has broken the project down into subsections and has team leaders will be in a similar situation. And everything that we've seen today is in fact going to be used by the project manager with team leaders. Now, if you're an LPM, you want to convey to your project manager the same techniques that you would use with other project managers. The big difference is project managers are measured on the performance of a project and their performance on a project. So you got KPIs, smart objectives. So you can transfer that downwards to the team leaders. But you want to see how a project, which is much more of a larger entity, so your focus with project managers to help them perform the work and also to see how they will communicate with their different team members. Driver, do, deliver, receiver. Yeah, we can add the receiver if you wish. The deliver, in this case, where I use the DDD, that's the 3D system, they deliver the value of the project in operations. We have a lot of thank yous. Good. Are there templates for leading project managers in terms of program strategy? Yes, there are. There are. I can't explain it here. Could you clarify more the difference among project managers? Clarify more the difference among project managers. Types of PMs. Abdul Rahman, I believe you mean what are the different skill sets of project managers, type of PMs? Well, you have in your project, your organization, you have projects. So you may have different types of projects, and you will have what kind of skill sets and competencies are required to manage those projects. Then you've got a project management pool, can you say, and how do you assess their skills and competencies? And you may well want to be able to assign certain projects, especially large organizations. You could have project managers that are more in manufacturing side, others would well be for IT, others, say, for oil and gas industry, could be for major projects, others could be on drilling, others could be in facilities. So you can sort of group them depending on your industry, but each one will have a job definition, what the job is, management, type of work to be performed, and third most important parameter, what are the competence and skill levels of the project managers. And Fadi, yes, I did say we should work for project managers. What's wrong with that? One thing which is very interesting to know, when people say, I have so many people working for me, that to me is totally wrong, because nobody works for you, they work for the organization. But saying they work for me, you position yourself so superior to the individuals, is that your behavior and actions will be one of being more directive. Now, I work for you, what that's supposed to mean, I want you to succeed, because your success is my success. So, Fadi, come to our next course, we can explore that together. How should a PM approach an LPM that does not apply many of the frameworks and tools mentioned in this webinar? You fire them, Mohammed. No, you don't. There are reasons why people are not applying a framework. First of all, did you explain the framework? Is the framework adaptable to the situation? Speak to those individuals. They'll tell you why. They'll push you back. If people push you back, that's great. Because you can listen. Because I have made so many procedures in my life and I've made so many mistakes that I adapt so that the individuals who are going to use it can actually be involved. So listen to them, guys. Listen to them. So listen what they say. And if you have to adapt certain things because they are rational, these are educated, intelligent people, project managers, you know, they got something between the ears. Huh? That's his hand at 1.3 kilogram matter. So, you know. So I would suggest that. What is the best way to deal with difficult stakeholders? Jafar. Oh, nice one. Talk to them. Why are they difficult? Are they against the program or project? Do they have their own mindset? Where are they in the organization? Do they not want this new system or new product or new service or whatever? They have a good reason, and adapt to it. And if your project and the difficult stakeholder is major, your project is going to fail because they're going to push it back. And if the major key stakeholder is difficult, I remind you one thing that I learned in my professional life very early on, key stakeholders and upper management make decisions when you're not there. So how can you be there when you're not there? Where you find yourself an ally that actually disseminates your information to other managers, and they will try to involve and maybe influence them. Just listen. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks a lot. I want to be an outstanding project manager. Saifur Rehman, please sum up in one line. I'll tell you one little phrase. Manage people. It's people that are more important than process, procedures, and anything. You are dealing with a social group on a day-to-day basis, an environment that is not yours with the people you do not choose to be. People, no one. The rest are processes, procedures, so that they can participate and can have success. I meant the other way around, as Yap was for the supervisor. That was a question. I'll just skip down. Sorry about Mohammed. My project manager is withdrawing all the projects we got in the last 6 months. What should I do? Find yourself another job. Say for? No, that's not a nice answer, is it? I don't know why they're withdrawing this. Because of the economic situation? Are you in the oil and gas industry? Are you suffering from lack of business? I don't know. I mean, if they are withdrawing, I suppose they've given you the reasons for it. And if that's the case, then I would suggest to your program manager is that, okay, during this time of less work, maybe we can review our current processes, maybe our skill sets, maybe a little more training, because they can come back, guys. And we're in Dubai, and I remember always after 2008, for a couple of years, you had here the cemetery of buildings in shell form, okay? And that will be well, what happened then? People just put things on hold. So now they're coming up again. So, you know, thank you very much. Thank you. Because I brought those projects. So I don't understand. You brought them in, you wrote them in. You're the one who brought those projects in? Yeah, well, that's, you know, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. You go discuss with the program manager what's the rationale behind. Now, if you bought some projects, which is great, and you should be congratulated for that by the organization, if they've been temporarily either shelved, there must be a reason for it. Maybe a client is gone, or maybe the organization has found itself in some financial difficulties. Speak to your program manager. Best thing we have, you know, as human beings, we have a voice, we have a body, we have a mind. Let's use it. Okay, guys, we've come to 1 hour and a quarter. People, Ravi, if my choice is given, what my preference is people. There's no point in having process unless you're working with a robot. All right? People. And after people, do you want to be successful? Skills, competence, process, methods, tools. Sorry? Yeah, and you can come to training for that. Okay, guys, I think we're coming to 1 hour and 15 minutes. Thank you for 37 people who are still online. I hope that I have been able to share with you some key aspects. Obviously, in 45, 50 minutes of presentations, I gave you the high level. And I hope to see you in all the particular training and webinars. I've got some more webinars coming up before the end of the year. It'd be nice to actually see you. And wish you all the best. And I do know that next week is 8, so those who are celebrating it, I congratulate you on that and hope to see you very soon. Thank you very much and goodbye.